Welcome to the Brand Currency Podcast, where we break down branding and design in a way that actually makes sense for your business. My name is Charles McGill. I'm your host, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host.
Hi, I'm Jonsi McGill, Charles' life partner and business partner.
That's right. Some say better half, right? Would you say that, babe?
Yes.
Dang. So today we're diving into a question that a lot of business owners ask. What is the difference between a $10,000 website and a $500 website, right? What is it? I know y'all confused out there. I know y'all be wondering. Well, we gonna talk about it today.
Thank you.
That's all you gotta say is thank you?
Yes, because it's like people don't understand, the value. Let's get into it because let's just dive right into it.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of lift it up, right? Let's be real, guys. Have you ever shopped for a website and saw the various pricing, right? You went and you saw some people maybe on Fiverr, maybe you're a freelancer, they charging $500, $250, maybe $600 for a website, and then you go to another company or agency and they're charging 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand for what you, as far as you know, it's just a website. What's the difference? So that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
All right.
Let's talk about it because there is a difference. There's levels to design, right? There's levels to whatever you're trying to get for your business. Regardless of design, there's levels to everything in business.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, to really break it down, we're going to talk about not only like the price gap, like why there is a gap, right? Why does that exist? Also the misconception that people have that they are exactly the same thing, right? Because some people think that the $500 site and the $10,000 site are exactly the same thing, and they are not, right?
There has to be a difference.
There's got to be a difference, right? And we'll break down what some of those differences are. And then also the difference between something that is just there and something that is high performing, right? Because that's kind of the nuance. That's kind of a lead in to what we're going with this. But for some of you guys, if you can just kind of wrap your mind around, sometimes things are just there to just be, and then sometimes things are there to actually make things better. Right? There's a difference. So we'll break that down.
Okay, so let's break down what you're really paying for at each level. Okay, so with the $500 websites, all right, they're usually DIY, right? Because you're paying for maybe like a template that's low cost, and then you have to plug and play and do all the stuff yourself, or you're paying like a low cost freelancer, right? And sometimes like they don't necessarily have all the experience, so they charge, a little bit less than, like a premium branding agency. So
for sure.
Break that down.
Yeah, because it's really generic. It's not going to be a lot of customization. Like to your point, the skill set likely isn't there. So there's not going to be a lot of variation that they're going to be able to provide. So it's like if you see something, a site that you like the way that looks, they can do that and not be able to really customize it or change it too much.
Oh, change it for my brand.
Yeah, exactly. For your brand. Like if you're like, hey, I got this, I want it to look a different way. I got a different picture than the one that's there. Can you make it look similar? That's likely not going to be something that they're going to be able to do.
All right. So it's going to have limited or minimal customization.
Yep.
So you're going to end up with like a really basic homepage.
Yep.
Is that it?
Yeah. Basic homepage, probably a few pages. Not going to be, that elaborate in terms of, what it offers. Just real basic.
And, strategy, you're not necessarily going to get the strategy to help to have the website really speak to your audience.
Yeah,
right?
Likely the person designing it at that level is not thinking strategy. They're not thinking long term. They're not thinking about target audience. They're not thinking about brand psychology. They're not thinking about intentionality. They're not thinking about positioning. They're probably not even considering how your copy should kind of correlate with the images and the visual story that's being told. None of that. They ain't saying none of them words and they ain't thinking of them words at all. They just basic, trying to get it done. That's it.
Right. And then also, what a lot of people don't factor in is when they're paying that amount, typically that doesn't include any like revisions or anything, right?
Well, it may, but usually the revisions are minimal. You're not gonna,
Or you have to pay extra for
yeah,
it.
yeah. It'll probably be like minimal revisions, um, 1 to 2 rounds maybe, and then after that, it's gonna cost you for additional revisions. And then it's definitely not a situation where it's like unlimited revisions like that. No
Mm.
way.
And with these $500 websites, there's no real optimization for conversions, right?
Yeah, oftentimes that's not even a discussion. They're not thinking about how well it converts. They're just trying to get it done.
Mm.
That's it. Like, that's not even, they're not thinking about that, likely at that level.
And probably not getting enough support around the website either, right?
Yeah, probably, once you get it done, that's all. There's not going to be ongoing support. There's not going to be like, if you have updates, that'll also be an issue if you're using like WordPress and there's updates and your site stops working, you'll have to engage them again, probably pay additional costs, and or they just may not help you with it beyond that, and just not even have solutions for you. It's just you're paying for it to get it done, but then you know it's almost like when you go to a mechanic, like say you got a like we got a Toyota, right?
Hmm.
And what do I always say in terms, if the car needs any kind of maintenance, where am I taking it?
The Toyota Service
I'm
Center.
taking it to Toyota, right?
Right.
I don't care whose uncle I don't care who used to work at Toyota and all that stuff. I don't care about none of that because I want to get it done the right way. However, sometimes when you go to people that may be cheaper, they may get the job done, as in they may be able to service it, but you run the risk of it not actually being, a top tier kind of service or repair that will sustain and that will last. It may be something that, may end up costing you more in the long run. So $500 website, you get it done, but because it requires additional support or maintenance or updates or anything else or revisions, you may end up having to cost or pay for those things in additional. It kind of almost reminds me, and I don't mean to shade this brand because we actually had a relatively good experience recently with Spirit Airlines.
Oh Lord, you telling people we flew on Spirit?
Listen, listen, tell the truth, shame the devil, right?
Yes.
Listen, we had a decent experience
We
because
did.
we actually did like compare the cost between, okay, we're going to get 4 tickets with Delta
Mm-hmm.
or 4 tickets with Spirit, dramatically less cost with Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had to add on literally everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Choose your seat, check
Because we were
bags.
taking the kids and we got to sit with the
Yeah, it was
kids.
like a lot. And then
Right.
so when you add all that up, it still was cheaper than Delta, and that's why we went with it. And we had a good experience. The point I'm making about this and why I'm making it analogous is because with Delta, all the things that we had to pay for was included in the price.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a lot of people, that's a better experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also, Spirit ultimately does not have entertainment. It didn't have Wi-Fi, without additional costs and all that stuff. It didn't have snacks, so there's still stuff that we went without, and we didn't want to pay for it. But thankfully we had, iPads and things like that we still, but the point I'm making is that when you go to a $500 website, you're paying the initial 500, but then there's all these additional costs
Mm.
associated with it that you may not even have thought about that, would be included probably in a premium type of service.
Mm.
That makes sense?
That makes a lot of
Okay,
sense.
I'm gonna let you get to the
That's a
premium
good
one.
one. Yeah, so let's get into the premium, the 10K website.
Okay.
10K plus.
Yes.
So with the 10K website, some things that you get a different experience,
Yes.
right? So one of those things that you might get is custom strategy, right? Based on where you are in your business and your goals.
Absolutely. Custom strategy. That person likely is thinking through your website in a way that you aren't, right? They're likely taking your brand guide, taking your imagery, and really kind of doing a deep dive in terms of like what this website should look like, who it should attract, like what's the objective. You're trying to increase sales, you're trying to increase leads, you're trying to have people book a call, you're trying to get people to buy your course, whatever that thing is, like someone's thinking through that, or you're trying to get booked for speaking gigs, like what is it, right? And so the strategy, the custom strategy, as in not as a general strategy for everyone, but what is specific to your needs and your clientele, and how can we create a site that makes sense for your individual goals?
Right, right. So, I'm sure as business owners, one of our goals is to have a high converting site,
Yeah,
right?
highest as possible, right?
Right.
Right. I mean, high converting. You want to optimize so that you can get the highest conversions. What does that mean? So conversions is basically, the amount of people that come to your website versus the amount of people that buy, right? That's your conversion rate. The lower it is, not good. The higher it is, the better, right? Average, from what I understand from years ago, the internet said 2% is the average. So if 100 people came to your site on average, you just had an average looking site, 2 people would buy, right? That's average. Less than that is below average. Above that is above average, obviously. If you're cooking with grease, meaning that you got a well-designed website, is converting well, is doing really well, you could see conversion rates anywhere from 5% to 10% up to 25%, depending on various factors. Obviously, if you have an offer, let's say your offer is $1,000 offer, right? And you get 100 people to come to that site, and you're getting average conversions, that means $2,000 what you'll earn. 2 people will buy $2,000 for every 100 people that visit. But if it's really, really optimized for conversions and done really well, and you're maxing out your conversion potential, and you're getting a 10%, that's $10,000 for the same 100 people, or you're getting 25%, that's $25,000 for the same 100 people, right? So what would you rather have? Would you rather have a website where 100 people saw it and you only earned 2,000, or a website where 100 people saw it and you earned 10,000?
I mean, obviously, the 10,000.
Obviously 10,000, but a lot of people can't see that because they're blinded by the investment, right? They're like, okay, like it's still going to cost me more, but you're going to earn more. And so that's the thing that people sometimes misunderstand about the higher price websites.
Right, because they don't understand that the way it's designed can, help guide visitors to take action to buy.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So the design matters.
The design definitely matters.
And, it also matters with these 10K websites,
Yep.
how it's mobile optimized, right? How it's optimized for different mobile devices.
Yep.
Because one of my pet peeves is going to a website. Typically, I'm on my phone, right? Like 95% of the time, I'm going to a website, it's on my phone.
Yep.
And if it is not very user friendly, if it's you can only see half the website or anything like that, I'm going to get frustrated. It's like definitely one of my pet peeves.
Yeah. It looks like they only designed in desktop mode. They didn't look at the mobile version.
At all.
Yeah. And to your point, I think it's over 60 or 70% of people, when they visit websites in general, they're looking on their phone. So it only makes sense that if you have someone designing your website, that they're mobile optimized. They should they should definitely be aware of how it looks in mobile and make sure that it's a great experience. With us, when we design sites for clients, we make sure that the mobile experience matches the desktop experience, right? So that comes to, the speed of it, the functionality of it, how it flows, how it's designed, all of that should be at its best level. You should be thinking about the load time of it, right? If you have too many graphics on it, or too large of images, or you just design it poorly, it can load slowly. Well, that slow load time leads to people clicking off the site. So someone who's paying, or you're paying more to design the site, is going to be looking at that. And before they deliver it to you, they're going to be testing the load times and be like, hold on, this thing's loading kind of slow. Let me fix this, right? Or if, say, they don't notice it for whatever reason, and you get it back and you're like, hey, this is loading kind of slow, they have a solution for you. They're like, oh, okay, let me optimize this. Let me, compress these files. Let me do these things to make sure that it loads properly, rather than being like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. It's probably your internet. You got slow internet. You got that Metro.
Oh, goodness. The Metro on your internet.
Got your Metro internet.
So, in addition to that, the conversion focused copywriting, right, that speaks to the audience.
Yeah. So we also, when it comes to the premium sites, we're looking at telling the visual story. So you're looking at your copy, and the designer is making sure that the images match the copy, or even that the placement of the images, or what is bolded, or what is highlighted, or what is considered a headline, all matters in terms of how people read that page, because people typically skim. And so they're going to go after, their eyes going to be drawn to the things that are big, that are bolded on the page. And you want to make sure that those things that are big and bolded are saying the right things, are saying the things that are supposed to be said, so that the client will, likely convert, rather than it being something that's just randomly kind of put together. Because, like even my designers, I have to sometimes, correct them, because they will highlight the wrong part of the sentence, because they don't really know, right? So because English, the second language, they read it, they'll say this second part and be like, that's not going to sell anyone on this. You don't highlight the second part, you have the first part. But oftentimes, if you're not a premium designer, they're not going to even catch that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because like premium designers will design with marketing in mind,
Yes.
right? To hit those certain points and different words and pain points and things like that. So the copy on when you hit the page is supposed to tell the visual story, but it also needs to be functional on the back end too, right?
Absolutely. It's got to have functionality. It's got to have your automations integrated in the sense that it functions well, so that when you press submit, you actually, can purchase the thing. You get to the thank you page, you get the email follow up.
The buttons gotta
The
work.
buttons got to work, like all these different things, all that functionality, all that has to be integrated, all that should work. In the premium sites, you're likely going to get a team that's already going to do all that stuff for you and make sure that everything is working when they deliver it to you.
Right. So basically, the 10K plus or 10K website should be a machine designed to make you money, right? Not just exist online.
Exactly. And also it should have long-term kind of scalability. It should be consistent. It should not be something you have to redo all the time. Like that is something different when you have iterations in your business, you have different offers. But pretty much, one thing we pride ourselves in is we make you a funnel. The funnel gonna work. It just gonna keep working. Like there's no reason why it would break down. There's nothing that we did or how we designed it that really makes sense in terms of why it would break down. And if it does, have any kind of issues, it's minimal, and the fixes are minimal. Whereas some people, I've heard stories about, it just not working and having all these errors, all this different stuff. We don't experience that because it was likely designed poorly. It was likely not done by professionals. Someone probably didn't invest what they should have invested in the site. But when you do it the right way, you're going to get all that stuff taken care of.
Okay, so let's say you're thinking about getting a new website and you're trying to weigh your options and, the cost between these two different types.
Yes.
What do you actually need?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? You want to be thinking about your goals and your objective for the site, right? Is your site just a brochure? Meaning, like, do you just want it to be like a like information, just literally a flyer? Like, just imagine that, just a piece of paper has information and that's it, right? People can come by, look at it, throw it away. They don't got to interact with it. It doesn't require anything of them. Like, and that's all it is. If that's what you
Not
want,
throw it away.
well, I mean, that's what people do most of the time.
They do.
Right?
Click off.
They click off, right? They don't, because it's not forcing them to do anything. It's not compelling them. They're not like, drawn to it. It's just information, so if that's all you want, then likely, what you're going for is minimal type of requirements. You're going to be asking the designer basically just to, be able to present something online. Like that's it. You're not really asking for much more than that, if that's all you want. However, if you want to do something like increase sales or get leads, or you want to be able to book calls or have people book you for speaking or anything like that, you're going to have to basically ask different questions, right? You're going to have to engage that person around what their strategy is, how they approach it. Are they considering the images and the colors and how all these things play together to attract the right audience? Are they even talking about these things when they're having their discovery call with you, right? Is that even something they're engaging with you around, or is it simply just like really basic questions, right? It's kind of like when you go, um, man, it's like okay,
Because it's like connection converts, right? Like when your audience connects with you online,
yes,
it increases your conversion rates too.
it does. When I was thinking about this, when it comes to like when you're asking to get a site designed for you, like it's kind of like when you we're bringing analogous to food again. Like
Because that's what we love.
that's what we love, right? It's something about when you get food prepared by someone who, you know, is a like a master chef versus someone who just knows how to cook, right? You might be courting somebody, maybe the first time you dating them and they like, hey, I'm gonna cook for you.
Ooh.
And you're like, okay, that's cool. That sounds cool. But you're like, hey, so what kind of cooking do you normally do? They like, what I'm saying, I make a little, a little cereal, you know what I'm saying, little sandwiches here and there.
Sandwiches.
I know how to make some toast. I got you, right?
Well, there's levels to sandwiches too.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, let's say that
Not
was
cereal, yeah.
let's say that was a
cereal
roster.
person.
Let's say that was a roster that I gave you. I know how to make some chicken noodle soup, you know what I'm saying, some Chef Boyardee,
Oh God.
SpaghettiOs, right?
Sounds like I'm gonna be bored with this
What kind of
person.
meal you about to get?
Something I probably don't want to
Something
eat.
basic, right? Versus somebody who's like, I've cooked at, various restaurants or whatever, or they giving you the rundown of the menu and they're using all these, different words and cooking techniques and, was it so
Sous vide.
sous vide, my words are failing me, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or like when you cook, like when you, so Jonsi's a great cook, y'all. If y'all don't know, Jonsi's a great cook.
I'm okay.
No, she's a great cook. And the thing is, the reason why I know she's a great cook is we both super picky about our eating, and so we be judging, right? But
Some pickier than others.
oh man, but when she cooks, we have the same lens. We honest with each other. If it don't taste good, it don't taste good. But we really want it to taste good because we want to have a great experience. So I'm gonna give you an example. Like when Jonsi cooks a steak, like she be doing stuff that I didn't even know was a part of the regimen of cooking a steak. First thing she do is get a cast iron and she puts it in the oven and like
You
does
gotta heat up the skillet first, right? You gotta heat up the skillet, and while the skillet is heating up in a 450-degree oven, then you gotta pat dry the steak because you can't put a wet steak in there. It's gonna get nasty. It's not gonna get that sear that you want.
Yeah.
And then you incorporate the when you take the skillet out, you get it nice and hot. You put the olive oil and butter and rosemary and garlic, and you gotta let the aromatics release in the oil. And then you season your steak, get it all nice and ready, and pat the seasonings in and slam it in that skillet, let it sizzle and sear, get that. Whew.
Y'all see what I'm talking about? See, listen,
There's levels to this.
that's someone who knows how to cook a steak. Now, I will tell you, there's probably someone that you know right now that will just take that joint right out of the plastic and put that joint right on the pan that's cold and let it heat up right in the pan.
And that's nasty. You wash your meat.
Yeah. So I'm just saying though, but that's the difference between like when you ask someone who really knows what they're doing in terms of building websites versus someone who just putting it together, right? They're not going to get all that specific about it. They're not going to get all that nuance about it. They're not going to really, be like telling you all the stuff that you just broke down about the steak. They ain't gonna be talking about that stuff. They're gonna talk about conversions and psychology and the marketing strategy and all like they ain't gonna be saying.
You're gonna go to
stuff.
them. You'll be like, "Can you cook a steak?" And they'll say, "Yes."
Yes.
And that's it.
And that's it. Don't even ask you how you want to prepare it. That's the thing. That's another tell-all. They don't even, what temperature
how
you
would
want
you
it.
like your
How would
steak?
you like your steak? Don't even ask you that. They're like, no, I got you. I know what you want.
All right. So another question people should be thinking about is, are you thinking about long-term growth or just the cheapest option right now?
Yeah. And sometimes it depends on where they are in their business, right? Because sometimes you do just need to kind of get something out. And I get it that, sometimes that is the case. However, what I've found is that most people, when they have their websites, they don't have them for just a couple of months. The people that we meet, they be having their websites for 8 years, 10 years.
Yes.
So while it may be out there, sometimes you'll like just leave it out there because oh, it's done now. Let me not like re-go through that again. Let me just kind of let it be. But that thing that you just got out there is not actually the best representation of you. So you
Mm-hmm.
got a website out there. We meet a lot of those people, unfortunately, right? We met someone recently where they were super dynamic. I mean, on social media,
Oh
like,
man, hundreds of thousands
oh
of
man, they were
followers.
dope. And you when you saw the videos and different things and their accolades, you're like, man, this person's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Go to their website, it's like you don't see none of that. And not only you
You
not
don't see
see it,
nothing.
you see nothing.
You
Like
see, you see absolutely
it looked
nothing.
like it was like you couldn't even believe it that it was that person's site.
Yeah.
And I'm immediately thinking about all the missed opportunities because this person is someone who where people go to the site because that's a part of their booking experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying they don't get booked and they don't get paid, and obviously they do, but the site definitely, I believe, makes an impression on people, and probably could definitely increase that person conversions because like you don't really get to know the full scale of what they do
Mm-hmm.
just by going to their site. Even if you go to their social media, you clearly can't tell.
Right.
You'd have to actually dig.
Right.
And most people aren't willing to do all that. They're not gonna sit there and like really, really try to like, figure out a way basically to convince themselves to pay you money.
Right.
That's not what people do. So it only makes sense. And it kind of hurt my feelings when that person wasn't necessarily willing to invest because they were like, oh, it looks fine. Like,
It.
and here's the thing that was funny. They told us that
Mm-hmm.
they think it looks fine, but when we talked to that person's friend, they was like, man, they know it don't look fine.
They know it's a hot
They
mess.
know it's a hot mess. They be complaining about that site all the time. And they know it is not doing what it's supposed to do. They was just trying to make it seem like it's not a big deal to y'all. And I'm like, but why though? Like, because obviously you got a point now where you have some success. And if you're thinking about long term, which likely is why we're even on the call,
Mm-hmm.
this is a big part of what is the experience. Look at your peers. Your peers in the same space that are at the top of the industry that are making more money than you. How does their website look? It don't look like yours.
Not at all.
It looks like something that they invested in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what's the difference? Well, it's a clear difference, right? And so like I
Like
don't
you really couldn't even read the words. You couldn't see the picture.
No.
Like there's only one picture, and you
Yeah.
couldn't even see it.
Yeah.
In mobile,
mobile like
it was just
crazy. And yeah, exactly.
Whew, I felt bad. And I was like, I don't understand why you're not signing up today, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I know someday in the near future, we're definitely going to be helping this person out. But
Yeah, hopefully. So basically, how do we choose the right website for your business? So basically, what you want to do is be thinking about your goals, right? Thinking about who you're trying to attract. Think about your long-term goals, your short-term goals, your strategy. Is it more appropriate for you to save money at this point in your business, or is it more appropriate to invest? Only you can answer those questions. We can obviously give you our opinion on that. I would say it's always worth the investment. It's always worth it to spend a little bit more to get that better outcome, to get that ROI. We just believe in that as a principle, and we think that's just good practice. And I think a lot of people probably would agree with that, but they don't do that maybe everywhere in their life. There's and the thing is, I've noticed. I'm gonna be real again.
okay.
So there was a time, and this don't happen no more. And I don't even know if I should say this on camera.
Oh my gosh, what are you about to say?
Oh man. So it's about the evolution, right? So as I've evolved as a man, I realized that there's certain things that I need to be taken care of that I had not really considered prior to getting married and having,
and someone take care of you.
someone helping me, right? Taking care of
Okay.
me, right? And maybe even exposing me to different things as I expose you to some things too, right? But we share in that, but there's some gaps, right? I'll say one thing, and I'm just gonna be real. I'm a grown man.
I wish I had some pearls to clutch right now
Oh
because
man,
I'm scared.
I'm a grown man, right? But there was a time, I would say early in my 30s, when we first met, that I wasn't really caring about like my underwear, right? And what I mean by that is like I had I had like the polo. I've always had polo underwear.
Yes.
I always spent more money for my underwear.
Yes.
But occasionally when there was a hole like on the side,
Oh my
right,
God.
when a hole like showed up, I was like, it don't really matter. I'm gonna keep rocking the underwear, like because it ain't really. It's still
It's not
functional.
affecting
It's not
the other
affecting the
areas.
areas. It's still covered, right? It's just a little hole. What I'm, you know, saying, well, I'm gonna throw this away. And I remember it wasn't until you called me out on it, and you kind of like petty, passive aggressive self. You didn't say nothing right away. You kind of let me rock it for a little bit, and then you waited for us to like have a little tiff, a little disagreement.
Yeah, I always got something in my back pocket.
And we had a little disagreement. Next thing I know, she like, that's why you got holes in your drawers. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even know that was an issue. like what's going on? What's going on, right?
Oh my goodness.
But then, like Maya Angelou, so when you know better, you do better, right?
Then you gotta call my Angelou.
I said, okay. I didn't realize this was a gap.
Lord have mercy. But then we fixed it.
We fixed it because I was like, okay, I can't be out here, you know what I'm saying, with
out here with me.
With holes in my drawers, right?
Yes.
Because my wife is over here clowning me about it. And I didn't even realize that was something I did. So obviously I got it fixed. We got the premium drawers.
Lord have mercy.
And it's been a great improvement. And then I realized I didn't even know at the time I hadn't really like even been checking for underwear like that. I didn't know that there were even different levels of underwear. Right? I was just getting the Ralph Lauren because that's what I got when I was younger.
Levels to everything.
But like I realized that there's like underwear that has like ventilation and like all these different type of texture. And I'm like, yo. So now I got the joints that, you know what I'm saying, they feel good.
You were paying all that money for the the Ralph Laurens, and you had them so long. Yeah. Just like people with the 8-year websites, they holding on to them until they get some holes, yep. and it's time to invest in some new stuff.
Invest in something new. And sometimes it takes someone to love them to tell them, hey, that ain't it.
Whew, that's deep, Charles.
That ain't it. You need to go ahead and upgrade that. You've been rocking this for too long, right? you think you're doing something out here.
Whew, glory, hallelujah.
Man, listen, I thank God for you, baby.
Oh,
thank you for opening up my eyes and making sure I get my drawers right. So listen, we trying to help people with their websites, right? We trying to help y'all. Y'all out here looking crazy. And people not telling you.
Right. So they don't tell you the red flags, right?
They don't tell you the red flags.
Because they're just like, oh, they don't care enough about you, right?
No, I won't say that, man. That's a little harsh.
I thought we were keeping it real now.
Man, they don't care about you to that degree, right? Maybe, yeah, I guess enough.
So aside from holes, what are some other red flags that people should be looking out for with their website?
Well, I mean, if your site's outdated, it doesn't have a professional look, if it's hard to navigate, if it's clunky in any way, it's supposed to be a smooth experience. You got to make it easy for people to pay you. If it's hard to pay you, people don't know where to click. They got all these questions. Every time they go to your site, they got more questions than answers, right? They hitting you up, calling you, DMing you. You like it's on the website. Obviously, it ain't that clear for people because they hitting you up. Mm-hmm. And that's what telltale sign for us. Like if we build a website and we notice that people are hitting us up asking us certain questions, we're like, whoa, let's take a look at this design. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at the user experience. Let's take a look at the functionality to make sure that we're doing the right things the right way so that we can lessen these questions.
Right.
And oftentimes actually, when people have us redesign a website, that's one of the things that we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're looking at how can we redesign this thing to make it smoother, to make it a better experience. And honestly, like just sometimes eliminating all the questions that people get asked because we redesign it in a certain way that's optimized, that is telling the visual story the right way, man, it makes a world of difference.
Right. So instead of people being curious or, unsure, having these questions, they just hit the buy button.
Exactly. Right. It's supposed to do the heavy lifting for you. If the site is done right, it's supposed to do the heavy lifting for you in that it gives the people all the answers to their questions. It gives them the experience they're looking for. It makes them feel the warms and fuzzies. It increases them know, like, and trust. And then eventually they end up buying, and then you just get an alert on your phone from PayPal or Stripe or whatever, rather than you having to, convince people that everything that they're asking is on the site and they just missed it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, absolutely.
So if you want a more professional looking site, check this out. Your online presence may be holding you back, but we can fix that. Entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, be honest. Are you proud of your website, or do you cringe every time someone asks you for your link? Here's the deal. You don't need to gamble on a full redesign. With Panic Commission's Divine Redesign Movement, you get a pro-level website or funnel mockup for just $100, risk-free. We're talking expert design, not run-of-the-mill templates that everyone else is using. In less than a week, you'll have a high-converting, premium look for your brand. Love it? Move forward with a full redesign. Don't? Walk away, no pressure. Spots are limited, and your next client is judging your website right now. Don't let bad design cost you business. Your digital breakthrough is just one redesign away. Lock in your $100 mockup today at mydivineredesign.com. Panic Commission, premium design for your business at every stage. All right, so let's bring it on home. A website isn't just about looks, it's about functionality and conversions.
Absolutely. It as much as we talk about it having a premium look and a premium design, what we're really saying is that it's functional and that it's built to convert and that it's built to hit the target audience. It's not about it being fancy. It's not about it being overly designed, overly like done up, with the bells and whistles and the glitter and the gold and the shiny stuff, right? It's not about that. It's about, is it going to convert and is it functional? That is it, but at its highest level. So not just functional in the sense of, is it like a brochure that you could just get information from? Is it actually engaging someone, have call to actions to get them to engage? Is it actually leading them down the funnel, if you will, to get them to purchase? Is it actually doing those things? That is like the purpose of it. Also, cheap websites, let's be clear, they're going to often cost you more in the long run than what they're saving you. Why? Because the loss of potential revenue. When you got the cheap looking site, it ain't showing up how it's supposed to show up. You're missing opportunities. It kind of reminds me of like when you're trying to date. Let's say you single out here, right? You trying to date, you trying to attract people. And you get opportunities to go into like these single settings that have a whole bunch of attractive people or people that you want to impress. And at that moment, you decide to show up, no shower, no haircut, kind of stinking a little bit, just play basketball. You got a hole in your shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Not holes in your drawers.
Now they can't see the drawers. Holes in the shirt, right? Your shoes is kind of busted. That's what you show up as. Breath stinking, right? And you're like, hey, but people should know I'm a good guy, right? You should just know that, right? The thing is, honestly, what you're doing is you're missing opportunities because people are going to judge you based on what they see. They're going to judge you on how you represented yourself. This is, let's say, hey, this is all I could do right now.
Because if you approach me that way, what you just described, I don't think
you probably wouldn't have.
I probably wouldn't have been hollering at you, my guy.
Exactly. So my point is, if you're in the process of courting, just like you're courting customers, right? You're trying to get new customers, show up the best way you possibly can, right? Now, you may be able to pull somebody with stank breath and all that stuff. You might be able to still pull somebody. And if you, in your mind, you might be, hey, I could pull somebody, so it may not be that bad, right?
You gonna shoot your shot?
You go, hey, it still worked, right? But the thing is, my question is that person that you got likely the best option for you, right? Or would you be better off maybe even having more options? So not just one person interested in you out of the 100 that saw you, but you had 25 people interested in you because you showed up the right way. You got your hair cut, you got cleaned up, you represented yourself well. And now people can really see you as who you are. The value of what you feel like you have inside matches the outside, and now more people can appreciate it, right? And that's what we're talking about when it comes to your website. Like, in the long run, sure, you may be able to bag a few people with the busted site. I'm sure you can still make money, but do you want to make more money, right? Do you want to give yourself more opportunity? So if that's the case, go with the premium look, go with a well-designed site so that you can have more chances to bag more people and get more money. Does that make sense?
It makes a whole lot of sense to
That's
me.
all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. So your website in the end, it should be bringing you business and it should be working for you. And if it's not, if you find that your website is not actually bringing you more business, then it ain't working for you and you need to change that because it's just a waste of money at that point.
So if you're ready to stop guessing and actually get a website that converts, hit us up at Panda Commission. We'll make sure your website isn't just another sales brochure. It'll be a sales machine.
And that's right. And if you liked what you heard, you enjoyed this experience, please subscribe to our channel. Please share this podcast. Make sure that you bless somebody with this information. If you know you got people around you that got websites that need some help, and you've been trying to tell them and you want to show them with love, you can go ahead and show them this website. Or if you have someone, or if you're someone, that's had the experience of having, a site that maybe, you did for yourself or it was low cost and then you paid for a premium site. We'd love to hear about your experience in the comments. Leave a comment. We want to hear about your experience. We want to hear about your friends. If you need us to talk to someone for you, you need an intervention, if you want to talk through it, hit us up. We'd love to speak with you. And also remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Panda Commission. Panda Commission everywhere. You can follow us there.
If your brand looks cheap, people will assume your business is too. Coaches, speakers, small business owners, be honest. Does your brand look like the premium high-value business you say it is? Or does it scream, I did it myself, but this ain't my ministry? Listen, a powerful brand isn't just designed, it's built with intention. And if your brand looks basic, don't expect premium clients. That's where Panda Commission comes in. We take care of all your design needs, websites, funnels, and graphics. Unlimited, high-quality designs completely done for you. No more unreliable freelancers, no more overpriced agencies, just a flat monthly rate and branding that actually increases your conversions. It's time to show up like the authority you are. Get unlimited premium design. Visit pandacommission.com and sign up today. Panda Commission, premium design for your business at every stage.